Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows is quite a fun movie. I must admit that I did get quite a lot of fun out of this film. I wasn't too much of a big fan of the first one. There was a lot in the first one that I didn't like. There were some things that I did like, but there was quite a few things that annoyed me as well. I've got the Blu-ray there, and that's when I watched it. I didn't really like the look of the Turtles when I first saw them, so I didn't bother going to the cinema to see the first film. And I got it on Blu-ray just to check it out, and I did enjoy aspects of it, but I didn't enjoy aspects of it as well. And my main problem with the first movie was the actual look of the Turtles. But getting on to the sequel now, I did actually like this film a hell of a lot better than the first one. It's the feeling of the film is more in line with the 80s cartoon, which is the program that got me into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I love that cartoon from the 80s. I grew up watching that cartoon. I got all the action figures and everything. And TMNT Out of the Shadows certainly is in the vein of a cartoon. You've got characters like Bebop and Rocksteady introduced. You've got Casey Jones. You've got Krang and the Technodrome. You've got a Shredder that actually appears more human than in the first one. One of my main problems in the last film was the look of the Shredder. You know, he had this big mechanical suit, almost looking like a transformer, and it looks quite ridiculous, to be honest. And in this one, he looks more human. It still doesn't quite look like how I'd like him to look. Like in the cartoon, he had more spikes on his shoulders and on his elbows and on his knees and that, and he hasn't got this. He's got a really cool helmet, and he's got the claws which seem to spring out, and he looks cool. But his design could have been a little bit better. But put it this way, his design is a hell of a lot better than in the first one, so I'll give them that pass, and hopefully they can improve on that on the third film, which I'm sure they'll make. The Turtles, the look of the Turtles, I don't know if they've changed anything. They look a little bit better in this movie than they did in the last one. I love all the personalities. Michelangelo is still my favourite. He's always been my favourite, and in this he's my favourite. But they look a little bit smaller, and their facial features don't quite annoy me as much as they did in the first one. They've toned them down a little bit, but the turtle characters, they're fantastic in this film. They're brilliant. You see a lot more of them. That was one thing that I was disappointed in the first film, was that even though it was a turtle film, you saw them, but you didn't quite see them as much as you wanted to. But in this, you see a hell of a lot of them, and they're really fun characters to hang around with. So I'm glad that they've focused more on the turtles, and even though there's other supporting characters, and they're given things to do, it's still a Turtles movie, and they're given the bulk of a plot, which is really cool. Of the returning characters, Megan Fox is April O'Neil. You know, a lot of people don't like Megan Fox, or they just find her to be a bad actress, but I don't mind her. You know, I didn't mind her in the first two Transformers, and I don't mind her in these. She's an adequate actress. She's passable. She's okay. You know, she's good to look at. And she plays a decent April O'Neil. So yeah, I don't mind the April O'Neil character in this. She's quite fun, to be honest. I like her. Vernon Fenwick, now he's like the comedy character played by Will Arnett, and he's really funny in this. He was one of the plus points in the first one, and in this one again is one of the plus points. So yeah, Will Arnett as Vernon Fenwick, who is, he was in the cartoon as well. I don't think he was in any of the films, but certainly in the cartoons. And yeah, he's a really good character. Really enjoy his character. You don't see much of Splinter in this one, which, to be honest, I'm quite glad about, because one of the things that I do not like about these films, and there's two things involving Splinter. I don't like the look of Splinter. You know, I'm so used to the brown rat from both the original movie and Secret of the Ooze, and also the cartoons. And in all these things that Splinter's been in. You know, the movies, the cartoons. He's always had like a Japanese, Oriental type voice, and in this, it's more American and it's kind of off-putting. So, but in this film, he's not in it much. He's in a few scenes. You know, he's in a couple of scenes in the sewers and towards the end, but he's not really in the film much, which is a good thing, to be honest. Casey Jones. Now, I like Stephen Amell as an actor. I really like him in Arrow. I like his Green Arrow character, and I'm really glad that he's getting a big break in a big budget in a big blockbuster film like this. You know, I want to see him as a movie star. I would like to see him as the Green Arrow in the DC Extended Universe Justice League films, but I don't think that's going to happen. So, you know, he's getting his big break in this Turtles film, and I really like him. I really like Casey Jones. He's one of my favourite Turtles characters, and I really like Stephen Amell as Casey Jones in this. My one gripe with Casey Jones is you're introduced to him as like a prison officer, and then something goes wrong. You know, Shredder escapes. But when you're introduced to the Casey Jones character that you know with the hockey mask and you know everything, it's only one scene where he's wearing an hockey mask and he's got a sporting goods weapon. In the usual depictions of Casey Jones, like whether it's the first film or the original cartoons, the 2000 cartoons, or the TMNT animated film from 2007, Casey Jones is constantly wearing his hockey mask, and he's usually got a golf bag full of sporting goods weapons, whether it's baseball bats, cricket bats, hockey sticks, golf clubs. You know, that's Casey Jones. You know, that's what you expect to see him in. But in this film, he just wears the hockey mask once, and he fights with one hockey stick, and that's it. You know, he doesn't have a backpack with the golf bag with all the other sporting goods weapons, baseball bats, cricket bats, like he does in the other films. So that was my one gripe with Casey Jones. But other than that, the character is actually really good, and he plays off Megan Fox and Will Arnett and the other Turtles really well. So yeah, I really like Casey Jones, and I really liked seeing Bebop and Rocksteady. You know, I never expected to see them. They sort of had substitutes in Secret of the Ooze with Toka and Raza, which were pretty shit really. So you actually get to see Bebop and Rocksteady, and they're pretty good. It's a bit weird seeing the human Bebop with his 80s shades and 80s pink mohawk, but that's a bit, takes you out of the film a little bit. It's like, well, this is meant to be present day and he's dressed like that, but apart from that, the actual characters of Bebop and Rocksteady are really good. I really enjoyed their characters. And then, yeah, towards the end, things have happened. I wasn't... You know, Tyler Perry as Baxter Stockman is in it, but is pretty forgettable. You know, maybe they might do something with him in the third film. Same with Karai, she's in the film, but you know, I don't even think they mention her by name, but she's there, so I assume she's Karai. But yeah, Baxter Stockman, you know, I think he'll be in the third film, which I'm sure they'll do, and I'm just wondering if they'll do anything to him, like whether he'll create the Mousers or if they'll turn him into a fly like he was in the 80s cartoon. You know, these films seem to be more aimed at the 80s cartoon. You know, they've got that feeling of the 80s cartoon, so maybe that might happen to him in the third film if they do one. And last but not least, I enjoyed Kerrang. Yeah, the part like a portal opens and the Technodrome. You've seen it in the trailers. There's parts of the Technodrome keep flying through, and then it's building itself, so the Turtles have to stop it. And the fighting Krang is only in like the last bit of the film and a scene where he introduces himself to Shredder. But I enjoyed his character, and I hope to see more of him. So yeah, I'm sure they'll do a third one. I'm sure this film will do well. But yeah, overall, you know, you had other character. You had a police detective played by Laura Linney. She was okay. Yeah, but you know, this film, it's a kids' film at the end of the day. You know, I expected to be entertained. I expected there to be daft jokes and, you know, silly scenes and, you know, things happening in the film where you think, well, that's daft. But it's a kids' film, so I expected that, and I got that. So I had fun. I had fun with the film. I enjoyed it a hell of a lot more than the first Turtles, which came out a couple of years ago. So yeah, so rating wise, I will give this film a C plus. It's not a masterpiece, but I had fun. I enjoyed it. It's not going to be the best film of the year, but I had fun. So that's all I can ask for. I'd recommend you guys, if you want to, if you want to try and find a film to enjoy yourself on a Saturday night or whatever, have a little bit of fun, have a few laughs, then I recommend this film. So, write in the comments below if you've seen the film. Tell me what you think. Like, share, spread the word about the Heroic Dale channel, and remember, guys, stay heroic.